The Houston Texans are finally getting a little RESPECT put on them this week by all sorts of folks across the liberal sports media. But there's one thing these people don't seem to be willing to do. We'll talk about that, something that's been a long time coming for Houston sports. And go surfing on the internet. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast for Thursday, December 4th, 2025. Hit it!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Grow, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Texans Chiefs, Sunday Night Football. We're all wondering if the Texans are finally going to show up on primetime. And I think none of us are 100% sold. What I can tell you is there are a lot of people out there who are covering the NFL landscape who are starting to respect the Texans despite this rough 0-3 start. They're getting glazed this week. So we're going to play a new game as a special shout out to Texans commentator. We've had beef in the past, but we're cool now. Who does a great job of actually finding videos of all those Speak for Your Pizza shows, talking about the Houston Texans and a whole lot more. Let's read the transcripts of said glazing, since we are not allowed to play the clips without getting copyright struck on the show, and determine whether or not we agree with said glazing. Lifestyle Brazy says, getting glazed, but we're 4-point underdogs. LOL. Yeah, that's kind of the point of this show, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's start with Houston Texans legend Dan Orlovsky. That's right. He played for the Houston Texans. You might not have known that, but he did back in the day. Dan Orlovsky, on one of those Speak for Your Pizza shows, had this to say about the Texans and two parts of this team that needed to improve this year. What voice should we use for Dan Orlovsky? Should we make Dan Orlovsky sound like a Valley girl? Let's do it. And this is no disrespect to Dan Orlovsky. I actually like him. Dan Orlovsky on what's changed for the Texans offense. It's the most improved offensive line in football. And it's the most improved offensive coordinator in football. Shout out to Nick Kelly. His growth this year. We've talked for years, about 2 years, about how bad this offensive line has been in Houston and the impact on the quarterback. I don't know why all of a sudden I have a Boston accent for this. He looked like 2023 CJ Stroud. The firmness in the middle of the pocket allows for what I would say one of his strengths is that react and reset and balls all over the middle of the field. This offensive line was terrible last year. Look at the number one difference, okay? At this point last year, 164 pressures. 25 sacks. Right now, 106. So a little bit more than 50 less. 14 sacks, 11 less. Huge buyer, and that center guard chair has totally changed. It's the most improved offensive line in football, and it's the most improved and developed offensive coordinator in the game right now. The panelist, for his part, agreed. Which panelist? Who cares? Here's the thing about what we were looking for out of the Texans this year. We were looking for, from September through January, serious improvement for the offensive line and for the offensive coordinator. And that takes time. They were not going to come into this year rolling on all cylinders, installing a new offense with an entirely new offensive line that they have been juggling for much of the year, partly due to injury and partly due to the fact that they just didn't seem to know who was good and who wasn't at the beginning of the year. But now that we are with 5 games left in the season, 2/3 plus of the way through, they've figured out something that works for them. It's unconventional, and it features a couple of second-round picks that should be contributing on the bench. Juice Scruggs, Blake Fisher, who's essentially their jumbo tight end. But from left to right, Ariante Ursary. Now that Laken Tomlinson's gone, Titus Howard at left guard. Center Jake Andrews, the expatriate. Right guard Ed Ingram, who's having a great season. Right tackle Trent Brown, who's finally healthy. That, 1 through 5, is working. Is it great? No. Is it doing well to help the Texans' running game? No. Is it better than the offensive line was last season? You have to say yes. So Cole Popovich, their offensive line coach, deserves some credit on that front. And their offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, deserves some credit on that front. You were hoping for incremental improvement over the course of the season. Now, one injury, and they might be fucked. Completely screwed. Because you got to go to not to Jake Andrews. You got to go probably to Juice Scruggs or Blake Fisher, unless you want to put in Jarrett Patterson at any position that a guy gets injured at. And I imagine if there's an injury on the interior offensive line, Jarrett Patterson is the next man up. But Dan Orlovsky has seen improvement from the offensive line over the course of this year, and I'm in agreement with him there. I think that Glazing is correct. Now, I do think he is blazing a little bit when it comes to this offensive coordinator getting better. They can't score in the red zone. And are they going to be able to score in the red zone before the end of the season? I don't know. But that's one national media member who's giving the Texans their flowers, or as the kids say, glazing them. Number 2, national media members glazing your beloved Houston Texans. Let's go to Rich Eisen. Again, we have to read the transcript because if I play the clip of the show, I will probably be copyright struck. Let's give Rich Eisen a Tucker Paulson accent. Houston Texans are here. I'm putting the Texans on this list for the first time, maybe all year, my power rankings. If not forever, probably all year, because they started 0-3. This defense is no joke. And you heard Kurt Warner say, hey, C.J. Stroud played his best game of the year. Okay, let's go. They're going into Kansas City. This would be a prove it to everyone else type of game. What is happening? What is going on? The Houston Texans have won 4 in a row and actually have momentum. So that's the Tucker Paulson version of Rich Eisen, because we're, again, not allowed to play clips on the show because we get copyright struck for it. He has them as a top 10 team in the league in his power rankings. Top 10. The defense alone gets them in there, but I do think that you have to do a lot of projection with the offense to put the entirety of the Texans team in the top 10. The entirety of them. That offense is a work in progress. Needs to get better. Needs to get way better. Can it on Sunday night against a Kansas City Chiefs team at Arrowhead, in the loud environment that place is, with the Chiefs team fighting for survival, and with the weather probably freezing. I would know because I've been doing on YouTube, not on YouTube, on the radio this week. I've been actually hosting in Kansas City for first 4 days of the week, doing a different kind of radio, if you will. But it's been cold. It snowed there on Monday and Tuesday, and today I think it was like in the 10s, perhaps less. So it's cold up there. No matter how high you are riding this Texans team and no matter how much glazing they're getting, winning on the road in a primetime environment on the road like that, that's going to be tough. More glazing or blazing national media analysts talking about the Houston Texans. Peter Schrager. I'm not really a fan of Peter Schrager. I think he's too glass completely full for my taste. But this is what Peter Schrager had to say about the Texans while on one of those Speak for Your Pizza shows. What kind of voice should we give Peter Schrager? Because we can't play the clip or we'll get copyright struck. This is the new mode of this show. This is the new version. How about aggressive German? Huh? I sat in this chair before they played Indianapolis, and everyone was saying the Colts were the best team. And I said I wouldn't bet against the Chiefs in late November against the Indianapolis Colts at Arrowhead, yeah? I don't feel that way against the Texans. The Texans defense is a shit. The Texans defense travels, and the Texans do have some playoff history. They've been there the last couple years. They're not some neophyte team just walking into Arrowhead with stars in their eyes like the lights are too bright. I feel like Sunday night the Texans can handle the Chiefs. They should, but they still have to walk into Arrowhead, yeah? How about that? Is that good? He didn't really say anything there. He said they've played them in Kansas City a couple of times, and their defense is legit. Thanks, Peter. Thanks. I do not get Peter Schrager. I don't get it, but whatever. He seems like a nice guy. Everyone seems to like him. I just don't think he says a whole lot of anything. And I guess he's an insider or something. I don't know. At least he's not an information trader like a Rappaport or some of these other guys who are just doing the bidding of whatever agents write to them. More national media members glazing the Houston Texans. Stephen A. Smith even likes the Texans. I don't know if I can do a Stephen A. Smith voice. I wish I could. Should I try? I've never impersonated Stephen A. Smith before. Sometimes it's a little dicey when a white man impersonates a black man. I don't see color, but it might be tough, especially if we want to avoid copyright strikes. Let's see. If anybody could pull it off, it's Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. But I don't. I'm not here to say they're going to beat the Texans this weekend. I've seen them send 3 at quarterbacks and get to them. 3, not even 4. And I'm looking at the Chiefs right now. Trey Smith, offensive line. Trey Smith out. Josh Simmons out. Jawan Taylor out. You got cats that are out. When we see Patrick Mahomes humbled, if not crushed, Super Bowl versus Tampa, offensive line. Super Bowl versus Philly. Yep. And this year, same problem, offensive line. That seems to be the one thing that Andy Reid's ill-equipped to overcome. Yes, it just is. Just that way. And you're not running the football. You're not even trying. We're going to send folks for you. And Travis Kelce, listen, he hasn't announced anything. But we all expect this to be it for him. We expect this to be his last year because Travis Kelce isn't what he used to be. Still damn good. Future Hall of Famer, 3-time champion. Father Time is undefeated, though. We're not saying he's not good. We're saying when he's not what he used to be. If there ever was a time where these brothers are something special, I haven't seen a defense in the modern era like this. The way these brothers hunt. And to be in a situation where your offensive line, not 1, not 2, but 3 different dudes against them. Listen, Houston's going to tell me more so than Kansas City. I'm looking at Houston because I have total faith in their defense. The question is going to be what C.J. Stroud is going to give you because I believe that Houston is the team to watch in the AFC to come out of the AFC if they beat KC. Damn, okay. Not a great Stephen A. Smith impersonation, but he likes them. He likes the Texans. And he's saying what he normally does. He usually says the take that everyone believes, but he just does it with a little more gusto. And the people that he has on these Speak for Your Pizza shows are supposed to be like the Washington Generals and come up with some ridiculous take. And he's supposed to go in there and say, you mean to tell me Well, I sound like Samuel L. Jackson. That you think this? My brother, quite frankly, that's a bunch of shit. You know? So, there you go, guys. Lots of glazing for the Houston Texans in the national media. But the but that I teased at the beginning of the show is this. Even with all of these people giving the Texans their flowers, after their fourth straight win, after going on the road and beating the Indianapolis Colts, who at one point people were talking about as the best team in the AFC, if you take a look at what the predictions are for now for Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs, this is what it looks like. Nick Schwager put this together. A graphic showing NFL.com predictions for Sunday's game. Hang on a second. Got to make this here. Do a little that. Do a little this. Here you go. The only person that is picking the Texans from the NFL Network is Bucky Brooks. Not Daniel Jeremiah, not Colleen Wolfe, not Adam Rank, not Eric Edholm, not Kevin Patra, not Nick Shook, not Maurice Jones-Drew. I don't know who Gordon or Grant are. Bucky Brooks is the only person that picked the Texans to win. That's it. That's it. No one's picking them. So lots of glazing going on in the national media, but no one has the stones to actually pick them in the national media to beat the Chiefs outside of Bucky Brooks. I'm sure that we will see some of the Speak for Your Pizza shows, ESPN, Fox, etc., make their picks, and somebody might have the balls to pick the Texans to beat the Chiefs. But yesterday we talked about it. I don't think you should mythologize the Chiefs the way that you're accustomed to with Patrick Mahomes, with Andy Reid, with Travis Kelce, with the defense that's been so good for so long, Chris Jones, Steve Spagnuolo, Trent McDuffie, among others. Do not mythologize them. They are good. It's going to be tough. It's going to be fucking cold. But I get why people aren't picking them. It's also a history of the Texans. You look at the Texans in primetime, and you're just expecting the other shoe to drop every single time that they're out there. One last thing that I wanted to touch on Texans related before we move on to something that should have happened a while ago. No one is more thankful for this Texans turnaround than this guy. Did anyone see this? See this? Hear about this? Anyone? Bueller. This is Nick Caserio with Jim Rome. I don't know if it'll be copyright struck for this. Talking about DeMeco Ryans and his role in the Texans coming back from down 0-3 to begin the season. Here is the Texans GM.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Since I've been doing radio shows from home, the audio technical things have not been going so hot the last couple of days.
I'd say DeMeco Ryans, like, hands down. Just the way he handled the team. He's one of the best coaches in the league. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I get to work with him on a day-to-day basis. His messaging is so consistent, and it's really just, I know it's cliche, but it's really about one day at a time and keeping the focus on your team and keep the focus on us and the things that we need to do. Quite frankly, there were some things earlier in the year that we really weren't doing that well, and we probably let some games slip away. But the reality is you have to turn the page, good or bad, regardless of what happens. Even the result of the game on Sunday, which was a good win on the road in the division, but we have to quickly turn the page because we have to get
blah, 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 blah. Okay. I mean, he just keeps going and 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 going. Master of the filibuster, Nick Caserio. He's the master of the filibuster. He is very thankful that DeMeco Ryans is here, and the other proof that I have of that is from this moment a few weeks ago after the Texans rallied to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars and win in a game where DeMeco Ryans had been going through a lot during the week. A friend of his had passed away, and Nick Caserio laid that out before giving one of the most aggressive hugs you'll ever see.
hold up. I got one more game ball to give out, okay? So I'm going to do it because he's the best leader and the best coach we have in the league. So those of you who don't know, we had a moment of silence for Earl Cochran before the game, okay? Earl was a massive part of Tamiko's life, okay? So he's got a heavy heart, all right? He's been thinking about it. It's been weighing on him. But he went out there and he fought and he led like he always does, all right? Because he loves his team and he loves his organization.
Watch that hug one more time if you're watching along on YouTube. I mean, that is a tight hug. Look at that. And he let go, but then he's tapping on his chest a little bit after the fact. I mean, look, the Texans were down, what was it, 19 points going into the fourth quarter? And Nick had to know that his job was potentially on the line. Had they blown that game, did they move on from him right there? Probably a chance of that happening. Can't imagine the Texans' ownership was thrilled with the way things were going. The guy loves D'Amico. They do seem to have a solid relationship. And while a lot of the bleep that Caserio threw at the wall to fix the offensive line didn't stick at first, it's starting to. Cole Popovich, as the offensive line coach, is starting to see some progress. They're at least middle of the pack as far as the offensive line goes right now. It's actually a graphic for that. I think Ben Baldwin put this together, a list of the Texans and where all the pass protection composite rankings are, and you can kind of see it. Let's see. I'll move this over to the side a little bit. Here you go. Here is pass protection ratings composite. And you can see the Texans are basically at 15, which is not great, but it's not bad either. Broncos, Jesus, look at their grade. Insane. If everyone's wondering, who's Bo Nix good? No, he's not. He's not. Anyway, there you go, everybody. That is the hug of all hugs between D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio. You can watch along on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like the video and subscribe. On Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow. That's all I need, but a sub would be very much appreciated. YouTube at Paul Gallant. Twitch at Gallant Says. I already said those things. I'm tired. I've been doing morning drive radio the last 4 days. I'm not used to getting up at 4. Keep on going to bed at like 1. Instagram at Sports Gallant, TikTok at Gallant Says. If you're watching along there, please give me a follow. Instagram, Sports Gallant, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Let's start off with Instagram. My guy, El Mimo. I'm going to be delusional. Texans to the Super Bowl. I don't care. Jesus came back from the dead, so F it. Texans made the Super Bowl. You sound like Ryan Clark there. The biggest turnaround since Jesus the Christ. He actually said that. I think he was talking about Joe Flacco. The best resurrection since Jesus the Christ. When literally Damar Hamlin got passed over for comeback player of the year before because of Joe Flacco. And then, I mean, Damar Hamlin actually was resurrected on a football field. What else do we have here? Let's take a look at what's going on TikTok. A couple of people are asking if I am going to the game. I am not going to the game. I've never been to Arrowhead Stadium. I would love to go to Arrowhead Stadium at some point, especially before they build a new stadium, which it does seem like could happen at some point in the near future, based off of doing the radio. That's what I've been doing the radio the last 4 days. From this studio right here, I've been hosting Morning Drive at KCMO, filling in for Pete Mundo in the morning. It's been fun. Been a different show, though. What else do we have here? Zavala asks, Paul, quick question. What's your take on the Cowboys versus the Lions? I mean, that's the game that's going to determine who's a pretender and who's not. And, I mean, the last 2 weeks have proven the Cowboys are not a pretender. They just beat the 2 teams who were in the Super Bowl last year, 2 teams who were dealing with issues. Meanwhile, the Lions, I mean, outside of Jahmyr Gibbs, it just is not the same operation that it was last year. Packers had their way with them this past weekend. I'm not feeling the Lions right now. I haven't been feeling the Lions for a bit. I think that they have gotten the most they possibly can out of Jared Goff, but I think there's a shelf life for that. And, I mean, you're in a division where the Bears are playing awesome this season. You're in a division where the Packers are hit or miss on a week-to-week basis, but you know their defense is going to be consistent. So I think that the Cowboys are going to win tonight. But, I mean, would it be surprising at all if the Cowboys follow up a win over the Eagles and the Chiefs with a loss to Detroit in Detroit. Should be a good game, though. It's a good Thursday night football game. I guess some people thought that Stephen A was okay. I think that was a terrible impersonation. Alex Garza says, supposed to be like mid-30s Sunday in Kansas City. You think that will be a problem for us? Yes. 100%. Glenn says Texans all day. Me says H-Town till I drown. Raindrop emoji. Or is that something else? That's drop. That's a drop, right? That's not, little splish splash. K. McFlurry says Kamari needs to practice tomorrow. Laughing my ass off. Well, let's take a look. I don't know what the Texans injury report was. And we'll get to the YouTube comments. We'll get to the Twitch comments. We appreciate the YouTube and Twitch audience who are generally the most loyal. I don't even know who comes into the TikTok audience from time to time. No offense. Like, it seems like it's a completely new crowd every single time. Let's see. I'm logging into my brand new email. I'm doing work at Sports Radio 610 from time to time now. Oh, God. Two-step verification is the fucking worst. One, login. Logging into my email. It's a two-step verification process, and it requires multiple apps and a couple of texts as well. I'm singing a song, yes I am. By the way, did you know Azeez Al-Shaair is the Texans club winner for the Walter Payton Man of the Year? The guy's beloved in the locker room. Tomorrow we'll probably read through some of the comments that were said about Azeez Al-Shaair. Yesterday at practice, Will Anderson was out, Danico Autry was out, Trent Brown was out, Kamari Lassiter was out. Woody Marks was out. Tim Settle was out. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about on that front yet. We'll figure out on Friday how we're doing. Chad asks when you're on 610. Not going to be for a bit around the holiday time. I will be back, but I forget off the top of my head when. But I will be going to their games against the Cardinals and the Raiders and Colts before the end of the season, thanks to my little credential. Junior Broncos asks, Paul, are you getting a Tuesday Syracuse jersey? We might have to get to that when we're surfing the internet, because I heard the Syracuse football got some, 25-year-old rapper. Someone asks, is Paulie back on at noon? Nope, just for this week, because I'm doing morning drive radio this week, filling in Kansas City. Fun times. Not talking about sports largely, which has been very interesting. Me says it's a drop. It's not the other thing. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was splooge. Could be. It's been about fucking time that this happened, guys. The Space City Home Network is going direct to consumer. My friend Vanessa Richardson posted this. Massive news for Houston sports fans. Space City Home Network, the TV home of the Rockets and Astros, is now offering a direct-to-consumer option. You can download Space City Home Network Plus in the App Store or go to spacecityhomenetworkplus.com. $19.99 a month, or for the year, it's $199.99. That's a pretty good bargain. The latter. And as somebody who cut the cord thinking that it would be cheaper to get Fubo TV, I am paying a whopping $380 a quarter. So every 3 months, which I think a total of, if I'm doing my math correctly, something like 126, 127 a month, in addition to paying for cable. So it's basically, because I think my internet's $80 a month, basically paying $200 a month for an app that I have specifically so that I can watch the Astros and Rockets. And by the way, I'm not even really watching the Rockets at this moment in time, Waiting until football season winds down. I'm more into football, just damn. I'll watch the occasional Rockets game, but if you're coming to me for Rockets coverage, you're probably coming to the wrong place, at least in the short term. And especially this week, because I can't even watch any of the games because they're on too late. I'm trying to go to bed early and doing all this prep for content that I'm generally not that familiar with. But it is available now. Where is it available? That's an interesting question. Greg Rajan of the Houston Chronicle, who also did a write-up that we will read from, posted this. This is the map of the Space City Home Network coverage map. If you are in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, or the eastern parts of New Mexico, you will be able to watch the Houston Astros. Looks like maybe Albuquerque's got them too, down at the bottom. That's a random one. It's not like Alex Bregman's there anymore, but maybe some Astros fans are still Alex Bregman. Weird. As far as the Rockets' footprint, it's all of Texas except for the Dallas-Fort Worth area and San Antonio area. Definitely sucks if you're living in Austin based off of that map, unless Austin has it and San Antonio doesn't. It's in western Louisiana. It looks like the Pelicans have their own footprint. And in southern Arkansas and in a little small southeast corner of Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got the Thunder. Arkansas is on the border of Tennessee where Memphis is, so that's probably why there's a little bit more territorial there. So you have an alternative now. You have an alternative. I am curious about all the details for this Space City Home Network app, which I will eventually switch to. It's available on iOS, Android, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can also watch via web browser at schnplus.com. Fans who already get Space City Home Network through their cable, satellite, or streaming service can authenticate their provider credentials to access the new app for viewing away from home. Team officials said providing a direct-to-consumer offering was a priority after Jim Crane and Tillman Fertitta purchased AT&T Sportsnet Southwest in September of 2023 and rebranded it Space City Home Network. Blah, 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 blah. Some brown-nosing of the owners. The Astros and Rockets were the only Major League Baseball and NBA teams without a direct-to-consumer streaming option. That's fucking wild. The only teams that didn't have that. So they now have it. Space City Home Network is still not available on YouTube TV. It is available on AT&T Uverse, DirecTV, Stream, Fubo TV, a bunch of other things. Blah, 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 blah. But you can now get Space City Home Network Plus, and I'm probably going to dump Fubo TV as soon as I can. You know? Anyway, there you go. Greg Todd says, how dare you? The Rockets are good this year. I know, but I'm tired. Football gets me more following, you know? People tune in for my football stuff a lot more than they tune in for my basketball stuff and for my baseball stuff. You guys might tune in to me for my baseball stuff, but not a lot of people do. I think most people think I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to baseball. What else do we have? Texan Bro says, free via your carrier that has it. If you have it, that's for sure. All right. So I am out of morning drive tomorrow in Kansas City. The person I was filling in for is back from the dead. That's awesome. That means I get to sleep in tomorrow. Well, sort of sleep in. I'm still going to do the live stream at 7 in the morning tomorrow. Lou Mookie asks, who you got, Dallas or Detroit tonight? I'm taking the Cowboys. I don't know what the spread is. Let's go surfing on the internet. Everybody going surfing. Surfing on the internet. We're surfing on the internet. We're surfing on the web. Everybody go surfing. Surfing on the web. What do we have? What do we have here? Ooh, look at this story. Interesting story from Outkick. Outkick the coverage. and it has to do with the college football playoff. I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck about the college football playoff until the college football playoff is officially set in stone after this weekend. Like, I don't care. I'm not tuning in to watch these dorks talk about the rankings with their dad jokes. I just don't give a shit until it's all ready to go. Not here for the debates. I'm here for the debates once it's all done. But nothing ultimately matters until it is all said and done. Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, is making a strong push for the Texas Longhorns to be in the college football playoff. We've heard a couple of Texas people lobby for them to make the playoff. Steve Sarkisian said, as far as the sanctity and quality of the sport, leaving a 9-3 Texas team out of the 12-team field would be a disservice to college football as a whole. Well, I mean, guys, you lost to Florida. Like, I have joked that merely stepping on the same field as the Florida Gators is basically a win in itself. But losing to Florida this year, that's actually kind of hard to do. Fucking South Florida beat Florida, for God's sakes. I like South Florida, by the way. Nothing against them. Greg Abbott promoted Texas for the college football playoff, posting on X a screenshot of the college football playoff principles. These principles are meant to determine how the committee selects teams, strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, comparative outcomes of common opponents, other relevant factors such as the unavailability of key players and coaches, and then added, Texas is at the top of these criteria more than any team on the bubble. He went after Alabama for changing their schedule, for changing their game against South Florida to 2032. And, I mean, I don't know. Is Texas the top of all the bubble teams? Notre Dame, Miami, Utah, Vandy, Oklahoma, BYU. I would love to see Texas in there. Two of my best friends are Texas fans. But I don't know. And I think for Greg Abbott, too, if you're the governor, I mean, fuck. Like, don't you care about the Aggies in your state, too? They're probably going to be pissed off by that. A rather divisive move. Anyway, I hate it when the lobbyists get involved and the politicians get involved in trying to make sports go the way of their teams. What else do we have? Has anyone noticed that the NFL Red Zone has started to have a lot of commercials? Saw this on Pro Football Talk. For years, the NFL convinced fans to buy the Red Zone channel with the catchphrase, quote, 7 hours of commercial-free football, end quote. For fans of Red Zone, those times were the good old days, and they're not coming back. NFL Red Zone is now riddled with commercials. Week 13, the NFL ran 16 ads during Red Zone. Half of them featured the audio of a commercial being shown in one box while football can be seen in the other. The other half takes over much of the screen with banner ads while football can be seen on a smaller portion of the screen. Pro Football Talk argues in many ways the commercials on Red Zone are worse than the commercials for any other broadcast. During a normal game, the commercials come at a predictable time when the game is in a timeout and the announcers inform viewers that they're going to a break. Viewers are prepared for those. On Red Zone, the commercials just interrupt the broadcast with no warning, suddenly appearing on the screen that a moment earlier had been showing football. Football, the commercial-free thing the NFL once assured us we were getting when we paid for Red Zone. Well, this is what happens when the NFL merges with ESPN. This is what happens, you know? That's how it goes. We're a lot of people that are on those Speak for Your Pizza TV shows that were saying, hey, man, yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be fine. It's just going to be one commercial. And it's always about, not the one, it's about the, what do they try to get away with once they get the one in? You know, like the Revolutionary War was essentially fought over similar reasoning. Wow, the British are upping our taxes. If they're going to do this, what else are they going to do? So, Red Zone, more commercials right now. What else do we have? Surfing the internet. Surfing the internet. Surfing the internet. We're on the internet. The Astros signed some guy named Daejeon Jesus. He's like a Korean baseball star. Astros signed former prize pitching prospect known as Daejeon Jesus in Korea. That's blasphemous. Absolutely blasphemous. Tuesday, the Astros agreed to a major league deal with right-hander Ryan Weiss, who recently played for the Hanwha Eagles of the Korean baseball organization. Their leagues are called organizations. The Astros, with a full 40-man roster, will need to take action to complete the signing. It'll guarantee him $2.6 million for 2026, a team option for 2027. Incentives could total over $10 million. He has been in Korea, finished the season 16-5 with a 2.87 ERA. You're kind of hoping that you got a lottery ticket here. I'm not expecting a whole lot though. And a Daejeon Jesus. I'm just not. You know, I'll tell you what. I'm just not feeling it. What else do we have here? You're surfing on the web. The Texas transgender bathroom law is in effect today. A lot of hullabaloo about bathrooms over the years. Senate Bill 8, known as the Texas Bathroom Bill, requires bathrooms in schools and government buildings to be tied to biological gender. As of Thursday, transgender people will no longer be able to use bathrooms in tax-funded buildings that coincide with the gender they identify with. Enforcement of the law would require transgender minors at public schools to use bathrooms correlating to the gender on their birth certificate. It will require the same for transgender adults who have undergone gender reassignment surgery and or hormone therapy. The Texas Attorney General will now have the power to investigate claims of violations and decide on the imposition of fines. So I think you would just fine the buildings, the schools, if this happens. First violation, $25,000 fine. Yeah, I doubt that they're going to give that to a person. Subsequent fines could result in fines to up to $125,000. So, okay, if you allow this to happen, you're going to get the shit fined out of you. But I don't really know how you stop this from happening. It's not like an invisible force field just went up that's going to keep people from going in. But the law's in effect. I don't know how many violations there's been over the years, but there you go. What else is going on? Oh, Lena Hidalgo. Remember this moment in time? She was so happy. She was married and stuff, and like there was an article in Vogue written about her marriage. I don't know if she went on a mental health break in between that article and this, but she posted to Instagram. This is a weird breakup post, no? Lena Hidalgo posted a picture of her making out with her now ex-hubby. Our wedding day was the best day of my life so far, perhaps because my life with David has been incredible. It's been over half of my adult life, full of joy, new experiences, major changes, important lessons, incredible, blah, 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 blah. This year, life took a turn that made us see things differently. So very much unexpectedly, this day of our anniversary, David and I are separated. It's not what either of us wanted. It is what we confidently, though painfully, feel is best. Just as we have for 10 plus years, we deeply love, respect, and admire each other and remain in close touch. I do feel bad that a divorce went down. I don't think she could handle the stress of office. I think a lot of politicians go into it thinking that they can, but it's one thing to say you can. It's another thing when you actually get into it. And I think there's a reason that she's stepping away. I feel like she acted like a petulant child for a lot of the time that she was in office. And we'll see what she does next. But I want to apologize because I feel indirectly responsible for Lena Hidalgo getting elected to office, because back in the day, I used to go after the predecessor for her, Ed Emmett, who was obsessed with maintaining the Astrodome. I called him a boob once. He actually called into the show, and I've been looking to find the audio of it, but I have not been able to find the audio of it. It might be on a hard drive that I have where the this hard drive right here, but the actual connector to the USB is broken. So that sucks. We're going to try to figure out how to get it, but I called Ed Emmett a boob. He called in, and we actually had a nice little conversation, but he somehow found a way to make the Astrodome a historical landmark. And I just thought when that happened, this is crazy. Let's get this guy out of office. So I don't know if the Gallant at Night radio listeners at Sports Radio 610 got Ed Emmett out, but I do know that I was like, fuck Ed Emmett, anybody else. Because we don't want the Astrodome anymore. It's just still standing around like that Imperial Sugar Building we were talking about yesterday. Surfing on the web. Houston to Rome's got direct flights now. How about that? The Fertitas. Hey! Buongiorno. What else do we have? Surfing the internet. Surfing the internet. Surfing the internet. Surfing on the internet. Surfing on the internet. Surfing on the internet. Surfing on the internet. It's what we do on the internet. Yes, it is. It's what we do. And I'm just going to keep singing while I try to find something that I had ready to go that ultimately fell. Okay, guys, this is the new NIL era of college sports. This is the new era of college sports. And strong, powerful, independent women are basically showing off their skills with sports like this. This is how it's going.
Hit sesh with me.
Just stretching
outside.
And then swinging the bat. These are the shortest shorts I've ever seen. These are very short shorts for the strong, powerful, independent woman. I'm looking away. I want everyone to know because my girlfriend has the donkest of all the donks. But this is the new NIL era of sports.
Running away.
I mean, why are you showing yourself picking up a ball like that? Just show yourself swinging. You can show yourself swinging in the short shorts, but nope, gotta wear the short shorts. Show yourself bending over to change where the tee is a couple of times. And she's hitting off of a tee in the short shorts too. Not facing live pitching. But this is the new era of NIL, everybody. This is the new era of NIL. You're basically like being a insta-thought to prove that you can play. I'm a Cavender twin. Look at my ass. What else do we have? Everybody's going surfing on the web. I want someone to make a song like that for me. Oh, this is big news. For the New York Post, women's farts smell worse than men's, and there's science to back it up. On average, humans fart up to 23 times a day. That's right, I've farted probably 5 times during the show. But not all of these toots are created equal. Research shows that women's gas smells worse than men's, and there's scientific reason why. Next time you catch a whiff of your wife's wind, a lot of alliteration there, take comfort. That stink could be a sign that they're less likely to develop Alzheimer's. Back in 1998, Dr. Michael Levitt, a gastroenterologist and prolific researcher known as the King of Farts, set out to figure out which gases gave flatulence its signature funk. He recruited 16 healthy adults with no history of gastrointestinal issues, had each of them strap on a flatus collection system, a rectal tube connected to a bag. Ew! After the participants chowed down on pinto beans and took a laxative, the researchers collected their subsequent farts. Well, did they shit themselves? Levitt and his colleagues ran a gas chromatic mass spectroscopic analysis to break down what was inside those bags, and they put the samples to a sniff test. 2 judges were brought in to rate each fart on a scale of 0 to 8. Oh my God, these poor judges. Were they paid? With 8 being very offensive. They were unaware that they were smelling farts. What the fuck? This is messed up. The researchers found that the main gases responsible for the odors of human farts are sulfur-containing compounds, most notably hydrogen sulfide, the chemical behind that classic rotten egg smell. Men pass larger volumes of gas, but the study found that female flatulence contained a significantly higher concentration of hydrogen sulfide than that of their male peers. I guess they could test that out in the bathroom, Bill. If it's a woman in the bathroom, the farts are gonna be more pungent. But if they're long, like wet ones, then I suppose that it's a man. While men pass larger volumes of gas, the judges agreed women's farts have a greater odor intensity than men's. It's no wonder women tend to get more embarrassed about their farts. Huh. Oh my God, continue. This continues. A 2005 study found that heterosexual men were the least bothered if others could hear or smell their toots, while heterosexual women were the most self-conscious. But here's the twist. Women might actually want to embrace their smellier farts. Oh my God. Because they could be doing their bodies a favor. While hydrogen sulfide is highly toxic in large amounts, small doses like those abundantly found in women's gas may help protect aging brain cells against Alzheimer's. So if you just fart up a storm, you'll do better. Behavioral tests showed that hydrogen sulfide improved cognitive and motor function by 50% compared with untreated mice. They would remember platform exits and be more physically active if they were farting. So, ladies, next time you break wind, wraps up this New York Post article, breathe deep. That stinky scent might just be a secret brain booster. Shout out to Ari Taki for the super chat. Has anyone actually ever smelled a girl's fart? My girlfriend has never farted. Not in front of me. I have accidentally farted in front of her a couple of times. I like to try to go into another room when I'm about to toot. You know, you got to be polite. Got to be kind. Don't want to commit acts of, you don't want to have war crimes, you know. War crime your girlfriend with a Dutch oven or something like that. You don't want to do that. By the way, this graphic is something else. Here is this picture is called Young Woman Suffering Excessive Flatulence. Look at this picture. Is this hot or is this not? I'm not looking at the ass. I'm not. My girlfriend's ass is the best ass. What is this? Who designed this? Do they actually get someone to toot and then, I guess, what would it be? Put some sort of specific kind of gas chroma out there to determine whether or not it's a fart? I don't know. But anyway, guys, there you go. That's how we're going to wrap up today's show. I'm gassed. I've been up since 4. So, thanks for tuning in. Back tomorrow at the normal time slot, 7 a.m. YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. Twitch at Gallant says, follow, but subbing's nice. Instagram at Sports Gallant. X at Gallant says pod. That's a fart right there. It smells like celery. And on TikTok, at Gallant says, if you're watching along, please give me a follow. We appreciate it very much. Anyway, that's it. It's over. Go home. Subscribe, rate, and review the Gallant Says podcast until tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So long. Farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
And have yourselves a